Good evening, everyone. I hope every one of you are doing good during this challenging time. And once again, I would like to welcome all of you for yet another episode of Pathways Trainings. I'm really happy to say that during the last few days, we have had numerous clubs, members who have enrolled in Pathways. So we have about 102 clubs who have 100% enrolled in Pathways, which is great. But are you going to stop with that? No. So today we have an expert to tell you how you can make use of Pathways projects, especially level 1 and level 2 projects. And to talk about this individual, he was my first evaluator from outside my club who evaluated my speech. He is a champion across all formats. He is a professional banker for 26 years, a Toastmaster since 2010. Currently, he is serving as the president of HNB Toastmasters Club. But the most important part in his profile is he is the district table topic champion in 2013. Ladies and gentlemen, please invite Toastmaster Roshantha Jayatunge, who is your trainer today on the topic Uncovering the Path.
Hi, thank you, Hingston. A very good evening to all of you. I'll just start by sharing my presentation. I'd like to start by congratulating all of you. Many of you have maybe started your Pathways journey already. Some of you just started it. So I'd like to ask you to type in the chat whether you have commenced your Pathways journey. If you have, type in yes. All right, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your responses. You have enrolled on Pathways, selected your path, of course, and scheduled to do your icebreaker. Now, how are you going to do your icebreaker? Icebreaker, if you have already done the legacy manual, please type in CC, okay? If you have done the legacy manual, please just type in CC. CC is the competent communicator. That's where we do the icebreaker. All right, Zamani, yes. All right, Malisha, Udita, Chaturanga, yeah, of course. Aris, all right. Thank you very much. And for those who haven't started the icebreaker at all, that means they're going into Pathways as their first engagement in the Toastmasters communication and leadership tracks. You schedule to do an icebreaker. Maybe since you have done the icebreaker before, you think it's an icebreaker. How hard it can be? I'm talking about myself. And let me just do it. And some might be thinking, okay, I'm new to this. I need to do the icebreaker. And your colleagues might tell you, don't worry, you just have to talk about yourself. Come there 4 to 6 minutes, just speak about yourself. Be very comfortable and do that. Is that right? I would say that's wrong. The first approach you need to take is you need to go through the Pathways learning experience. And I'm telling you this because there was a question that was raised earlier during the registration process. A person who has done ACB and CL, how do you get onto Pathways? So let me tell you my experience. I started off on the legacy journey in 2010. I have completed ACB and ALB. And I was more focused on doing my communication in terms of competitions and not mainly on the leadership track. So I never went into the leadership side. So after doing ACB, I started my ACS and I had completed the first manual. That's 5 speeches there. And then when they introduced Pathways, I thought, I want something to challenge me. I want something different. And when I read through Pathways, it did seem different to me. It did seem that it would challenge me. So I stopped the legacy manual at that point and I started on my Pathways journey. In the very beginning, I had to do an icebreaker. Now you'd think icebreaker is just about yourself, right? And it's so easy to do. But here's where I want to share the secrets with you. So let's go and uncover the path of level 1 and level 2 in the Pathways journey. And I hope that I can give you some insights that will help you in your journey on Pathways. But before we start, there's a huge elephant in the room. And I don't mean anybody on the panel. Don't get me wrong there. But there is an elephant in the room, and let's get that elephant out of the way. First question that comes to mind. I've done my icebreaker. You mean I have to do another one in pathways? Yes, you do. The level 1 and level 2 are basically the same for almost all of the paths. Yes, they are. And once you complete one path and you start on the next, you will be asked to do another icebreaker. Yes. So does that mean I have to do an icebreaker? Can I not skip it because I've done it in my legacy? No, you can't. Yes, you do have to do the icebreaker again. So with that elephant out of the way, let's get into level 1 and level 2 and see what you can do. What is a lesson to a learner? I'm going to ask you a question. When you think about learning about something, what does it mean to you to learn something? What is that lesson that you're looking for? I have 3 points that I'd like to share with you. This is what I use when I do my training, and this is how I see a learner would want the result from a lesson. The first thing is, most of the stuff that we're learning has been done before. Everything that you see today in the context of learning has been taught right throughout. Even Toastmasters, the program as it is something that has been culled over hundreds of years. So when you say a 100-year program, it has gone through its vetting, it has gone through, say, a transformation, evolved to a certain extent, but it's always about having a refreshing look at it, a fresh look at what you may have already learned. Some things that you may have learned in your leadership journey, even in your corporate life, going for a training program or for a conference, you might have learned something. But the whole point of a lesson is that you have a refreshing look at it, a new look. The second R, a realization, understanding why. So if there's something that is uncovered in that whole process, it helps in your understanding of the subject matter better. And the third one is it's rewarding. So when you take on any new learning, it should reward you, but don't expect a drastic change in just one day. You learn in increments, and little by little, you will improve. So does Pathways answer that question of, does it provide a refreshing look at things? Does it give you that why moment, that realization? And does it reward you incrementally, where you learn by degrees and improve yourself? Yes, it does, my friends. So let's look at level 1. A breakdown of level 1, you have the icebreaker, you have evaluation and feedback, you have research and presenting, and then finally you complete your level. Let's take each one of these separately. Can I ask all of you just to type in at present what level you are on, if you have already started your Pathways journey, and if you haven't started, have you at least read the icebreaker? Yes, somebody's on level 2, motivational strategies, yeah. Okay, some have done the icebreaker, congrats. Oh, somebody's already on level 3, that's good. Level 4, yeah, I'm on level 5 at the moment. Read it but not started, cool, good. So each and every one of you are on different levels, and level 5 completed, congrats. So you're going to start a new pathway and you're going to start another icebreaker. All right, so let's go into, thank you very much, guys. Let's go into level 1 icebreaker and see what it's all about. So here's the thing. You've done an icebreaker in your legacy manual. That's fine. You've also maybe not done at all, and you're going to start fresh. Remember, your icebreaker is about first impressions. Now, your first impression doesn't mean that you're going to give the whole harangue about your life, how you were as a toddler, the favorite food that your mother fed you, how you went to school or your friends in school. It's not about that. When we joined Toastmasters, they said, share something about you that nobody knows. And they ask you to tell about your family, about your school, and all of that. And if you've done all of that, what else can you share with your club then? Because they already know those things. Remember, the icebreaker is talking about things that they don't know about you. So I'll give you a few tips. When you go on to the Pathways Learning Manual online, Remember, there's some unique features to Pathways that you didn't have in the legacy. One is there are videos that you can watch and learn from. So there are testimonials about people who have actually done the icebreaker, and they share their experience. They share how nervous they were. They share what they learned from the whole process. I would advise you, don't skim through the project. Don't just go to the objectives and say, this is the purpose statement, this is what I should do, and I'm going to do this. Don't do that. Go through that learning process. Do that. It will help you. Other than that, there are certain areas where there's like a slideshow, and it adds additional information. Go through that, but not just for the process of just clicking, because you could just click on that left and right arrow and just take yourself onto the next page, next page, next page, and then finally say, hey, I've completed it, without looking at or absorbing any of the content. Please don't do that. Try to go through these, because each and every step adds some value in your speech development. Now, when you think of an icebreaker, I think of 3 opportunities. All right? You know what those 3 opportunities are? An opportunity to say something about yourself, to share a few points about you that the audience doesn't know. That could even mean, if it is a club that you were in for the past 2-3 years and now you're just starting on Pathways, there could be something in your life that your audience doesn't know about, unless it's, of course, that you're a serial killer, which I wouldn't advise you share with anybody. But if it is something that is worth sharing, please do share that. And come up with things about yourself that you would love to share. Maybe some new learning about yourself, something that happened to you the last year that you'd like to share with your audience. Second one is, maybe why Toastmasters? If you're new to the whole Toastmasters experience and you just started off, why not acknowledge the person who introduced you to Toastmasters? Why not tell them, why did you select Toastmasters? To learn about communication and leadership, because there are other methods, and tell why you felt that this was the one for you. Same way, you can also share your reasons for joining. And the third point, you can share your goals. So instead of just saying about yourself, you can say, okay, here is where I am. This is what I am. This is what I want to be. And in doing so, I would like to learn these things, and share your thoughts and your aspirations about what you would like to be and what you would like to get out of this Toastmasters program. So there are different ways that you can tackle the icebreaker. It doesn't mean that you have to share about that little sister that was annoying to you, or the big brother that kept knocking you on the head. It's not only about that. It's about sharing things that are important to you and that you'd like to share with your audience. All right. So can I see a yes if you think what I said made sense? Do you agree with what I said? Type in a yes, and we'll move on to the next section after that. Yes? Thank you very much. All right. So you've done your icebreaker. People have stood up and applauded you. They've given you a standing ovation because you just took your first step on the communication journey. Now, what needs to happen? The next step is all about learning why not only giving a speech is important, understanding the importance of having to receive feedback from somebody else and being able to accept that feedback. Most of the time, and I'm not saying this in general for Sri Lankans, world over, people find it difficult to accept something when it is not from their point of view. And they always find it a challenge when they are challenged about their point of view. In Toastmasters, one of the most important facets of Toastmastering is the strong need that we create in providing right feedback. It is not criticism. It is not subjective. And who better to explain why than the man himself? All right. You get extra points if you can tell me one of Dr. Ralph C. Smedley's most famous quotes, if you can type it out in the chat box. You won't get a free pass on your level 1, but you'll get special privileges, I guess, from the district group. So if you can, just type out one of the most famous quotes that Dr. Ralph C. Smedley has. All right, let's see. Let's see our chat. We learn best in moments of enjoyment. Yes, yes, yes. Golf. All right. I wonder whether he said anything about golf, Rushdie. Okay. All right. Very good. But did you know that he also said this? No Toastmasters club is fulfilling its obligations to its members unless it brings them the maximum of training in the art of constructive criticism. And this is from his book, Personally Speaking. Constructive criticism. And remember, it's an art. The whole point of giving evaluation or giving feedback is you're sharing your point of view, right? And that is subjective because it's what you think, what you feel, and what you experience in that moment of listening to another person's speech. But remember that evaluation criteria that is there with a purpose. We cannot learn just by giving a speech. We need to find out where we are good and where we need to improve. So in feedback, three things happen to us. The first is we react. So when somebody gives us feedback, our first response is definitely we'll react to it. We might get startled. We might think, what is he trying to say? What is she telling me? And we react to it. But then if you take the time to pause and listen to the feedback, you'll find that you will start reflecting, hey, maybe I do speak too fast. Or maybe I am looking up when I'm talking and not looking at the audience. And you reflect because somebody else is showing you a mirror and you're looking into a mirror. Remember, when we do speeches, sometimes they tell us, go and stand in front of a mirror when you speak. Because of the fact that we don't see ourselves when we speak, we don't really know what's happening out there. The audience only sees it. So somebody who is giving you feedback is acting as your personal mirror. They're reflecting on you what you just did. And it's an opportunity to learn from that. And the third thing is you respond. So in this project, in level 1, that second project, you're asked to do a speech. Just do a speech and receive feedback. Take that feedback and put it in to that same speech and try to improve on it with the points that were given for your positive improvement. So it's a good opportunity for you to receive feedback and do the very same speech again. You may be evaluated by the same evaluator, or you could choose a different evaluator, but always remember, share the first set of feedback, the first evaluation form with that new evaluator so that they have an idea of what went through and what points you were told to that you're good at and what you need to improve. And then they can see whether you have actually had that incremental improvement that we spoke about. And remember, there are resources. So there's a good resource here which takes you through step-by-step different ways of giving evaluation. And in this process, they first show a very subjective evaluation. And then later on, a nice evaluation where the evaluator really gives nice feedback. It's critical, but it's constructive. And remember, the whole point of this particular project is you do a speech, you receive feedback, you do the speech again, incorporating that feedback, and finally, you yourself are given a chance to evaluate someone. So when you're evaluating a person, you don't focus on the person, you focus on the behaviors. Remember that. So always, when you're going through this particular project, remember, when we give evaluation, it's not about the person that we are evaluating. We are evaluating the behaviors, what we see, what we hear, and how we feel. Always look at those three things. What you see, what you hear, and how you felt in that moment when you listen to that speech. So it's the behaviors that you're looking at, not at the person. So you observe. The first rule, the cardinal rule of being a good evaluator is that you need to observe. Maintain eye contact and observe the little bit of voice variation that comes out, the gestures that the speaker uses, the movement on stage, on screen, how they effectively draw your attention, observe. And finally, when you're giving your evaluation, I'd like to bring a point up here. Some people, when they evaluate, they say, you could have done this, you should have done this. And that is not focusing on the behavior, that's focusing on the person. Instead of that, take it from your point of view. What did you see? I saw you were nervous. I saw your hands were clasped. And that is an observation. That's not focused on the person. This is what I saw. I heard your voice drop and I couldn't hear the words that you said. So if you have gone through Dona's session on voice variation, you will understand that there are times when you have to lift up your voice and practice proper breathing so that your voice carries without dropping a syllable. Always remember, use I statements when you do your evaluation and make sure that you're focusing on the behaviors and not on the person. All right. And now on level 1, the very last project that you need to do, it's called researching and presenting. Now, when you go on to researching and presenting, this is one reason this particular project was brought in, is because we require the ability to take information and make speeches, because we may run out of ideas from our own personal life, and you might need to seek new inspiration outside. So that's one reason why this research topic has been brought in. So when you're asked to research a topic, you choose a topic. So that topic that you select, and I'll share a screen later, because there was a question on how do you actually select topics that are interesting to the other people, that will capture the audience attention. And that's a different whole subject altogether. But remember, when you choose a topic, the first thing that you should do is open up your mind to gather as much information as you can. Use different sources. It could be online, you could read a book, it could be an interview you do with somebody, it could be some thought leader's subject that you're taking up, it could be some reference that you saw in a business review magazine. So collect information. So as you can see, I'm going to share with you CCC. The first one being choose a topic, the second one being collect information. Collect as much information. You're never going to be too much of having information. Remember that however much information you have, it's always good, because then you can cull it and bring it down, use a funnel and sort of narrow it down later. So that's what you're going to do in the third point. You're going to concentrate your focus. So you choose a topic, you collect information from many sources, as many as you can, and then you concentrate your focus and say, hey, this part is interesting. I'm going to do my research on this area. Because if it's a vast subject, you might not be able to cover everything in a 5 to 7 minute speech. But what you do need to do is you select a topic, gather information, and see what interests you, and then focus your attention on that particular area and take that as your research area. Then you again find out information about that, things that would be interesting to the audience to hear. And I'd like to share this with you. There are a lot of worksheets, tables, documents that you can use online on Pathways. And this is one of them. So I'm going to share this with you now. All right, so this is the basic template for your research. It is a worksheet where you can say, okay, this is the topic I'm going to do. This is what I already know about this topic, because it's interesting to me. I may know a few things about it. So you write those things down. And you can actually use this worksheet very effectively, because it has areas for you to, okay, this is the broad scope of my topic, and this is what I'm going to take in. Now, here's how I narrow it down. Here is how I concentrate my focus and bring it to this. So the 3 C's, selecting your topic. So you choose a topic, then you collect information, and then you concentrate your focus. So these 3 areas you can take into this. And also it gives a very nice example for how you can use citations. For example, when I spoke about Dr. Ralph C. Smedley, I quoted him. And on my slide itself, I have his quotation, and then I say where I'm referencing it from at the bottom, from this particular book. And when I speak about it, I say that it is from this book of his. So when you use somebody of authority, it gives credential to your speech. It actually gives a lot of weight to your speech. And it's a good way of acknowledging the source material. So remember, this research worksheet is a really good resource that you can use. And it is something that came in very handy to me when I did my speech as well. All right. So let's get back to the presentation. Now you have researched the topic. Now you have to present it. So when you're going to present it, think of what medium you're going to use. It doesn't always require a PowerPoint presentation. Sometimes the research you can present with a flip chart, or maybe you can have props that you use to show to the audience. It could be a research manual, it could be a particular magazine that you're showing. Let's see, there's some chats. Okay. The next one is use interview results and citations. So when you present your research, use these three, incorporate it into your speech. So there's a small quotation that I'd like to share with all of you. To live a creative life, we must lose our fear of being wrong. Joseph Chilton Pierce, and this is said by another Toastmaster. So remember, you might make mistakes, but that research topic is such a broad area and it's a good opportunity for you to learn. So if you really want to live a creative life, go out there. Don't worry about getting it wrong or making mistakes. Seek out knowledge and try to improve in increments. So let's go on to level 2. Level 2 is a little bit easier. You don't have that many speeches to do, but you're going to have 3 new learnings. You're going to understand your leadership style. You're also going to understand your communication style, and you're introduced into Toastmasters mentoring. And that's how you complete this. So let's look at understanding your leadership style. And I would recommend, don't skip this. Be honest to yourself and do this assessment. For one, it's free. If you had to do an assessment like this through, say, a psychometric test, or you had to go for a seminar and do this, paying 20, 30,000 additionally, here you're getting it in your learning experience on Pathways itself. There are 48 statements here that will reveal to you 8 leadership styles. And your leadership style, the strongest one, will come out from this. And it's a good thing that you learn, because out of these 8 leadership styles that I'm putting up here on the screen, you will see that all 8 are mutually exclusive. They are totally different types of leadership styles. And you will find that you will not have maybe equal amounts of all of them. You might be dominant in one, or you might have a nice helping in each of these. And that's exactly what a leader should have. Understanding your communication style is another project that you can do. Now, let me take you one step back about the leadership. How I did my leadership style project was, I actually spoke about instances in my life where I demonstrated that these different leadership characteristics that came up with me. So in my case, I was actually, I was not bureaucratic. I was more of a democratic, coaching, and innovative. So those 3 were the strong ones that came out in my case. And I can mirror those, or I can actually emulate those by showing it in different characteristics from my life. So that is what you can do when you're doing this speech. Don't go to say these are the 8 types of leadership styles and this is what this means, this is what this means. Show or demonstrate in your life how these make sense to you. When you do the assessment and find out this is my style, think about it. Is it really my style? Have I demonstrated this in my life, in my career, in my school days? And see where it matches your life. Same way with your communication style. Do the assessment. All right, it's another one. Please do it. Now you see that there are only 4 categories here: initiating, supportive, direct, and analytical. And each one has its own characteristics and nuances. So when you do this also, you'll find out these are actually my scores. So I'm more of an initiating type. And my speech that I did for this, I called it Batman with a Touch of Chandler. And the beauty of it is, when I did this speech, I never realized it, but that speech went on to evolve into my humorous speech that I did at the division. And I actually came runner-up in the division last year doing that speech. So it started off with my communication style, Batman with a touch of Chandler. And that's exactly what I am. A bit on the analytical side and a bit forceful at times, but I'm also very sarcastic. So that communication style of mine came out in that speech, and I was able to use that learning when I did my humorous speech. It also gives you an opportunity to do this. You will find out where you need to adjust your style according to the situation. Demonstrate how your style has helped you. So in certain instances, being a bit sarcastic or being initiative has helped me get around in my life, in my career, even with my friends. And also you can share why you feel your particular style is important, how it has helped you, and what advantage do you have in that style. Finally, we come to introduction to Toastmasters mentoring. Now, I'm going to share with you one thing. Mentoring is maybe something that many people think is an easy thing to do. Everybody wants to be a mentor. But remember, there is a process, and it's a very extensive process. And there's a separate path for Toastmasters mentoring, where you can actually go through after you have reached level 3 in your pathway. You'll be able to start that path separately and become go on a project where you become a mentor. And in that, you do short-term mentoring and long-term mentoring. But this is just a flavor. And what we are trying to do in this particular project is not mentor somebody, but speak about it from the point of view of the mentee or the protege, as we say. So here was a good chance for me as a protege to actually show how my mentor at that time helped me. And he's a gentleman that I value a lot. His name is DTM K. Vasanthan. He's no more. He passed away several years ago. But he was my mentor, my first mentor in Toastmasters. Because when I took up the role as VP Education, he was the previous VP Education. And I had the privilege of working as VP Education when he was president of our club. I learned a lot from him. And so what this asks you to do is speak about a time when you were a protege, what you learned from that experience, and how it has helped you. So in that speech, you can actually pay homage to somebody in your life who has been a mentor. It could be your parents, it could be your a school teacher, an elder brother or sister, or somebody from your school who you looked up to. Or it could be a colleague in office, one of your bosses, someone who helped you become what you are today. And this project gives you that opportunity to share from that protege's point of view how mentoring helped you. And by understanding that, it gives you a flavor of what you can be as a mentor to somebody else. All right? So congratulations. Level 1 and level 2. This is how you complete it. And I'm going to take up questions later. I think my time has run out. But I would love to help you in your journey in Toastmasters. You can always reach out to me. As Hingston said, I'm the president of HMB Toastmasters Club. But more than that, I have a passion for training. I have a passion for teaching. So if you need any help, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to come over, do an evaluation, sit with you, discuss a project. Over to you, Hingston.
Thank you, Roshantha. And my dear Toastmasters, that's an invitation to you from Toastmaster Roshantha, where he himself volunteered that he is ready to support. And this is the beauty of this fraternity, where every one of us are here to help each other and learn with a good understanding. What I really like about this presentation is he emphasized on the basics of level 1 and level 2. Most importantly, when you're an evaluator, what you see, what you hear, and how you feel. These are the important parts. Now we are going in for testimonial segment, and in this segment we have a Toastmaster. Now you have heard from Roshantha. He shared his experience even after completing advanced communicator manuals, how he transformed to pathways. We have a Toastmaster who has completely worked on pathways. He joined in 2018 and he directly went and worked in pathways, and he has completed level 4. Toastmaster Dylan Pereira from CNA Toastmasters Club. He will share his experience in pathways in few minutes. Toastmaster Dylan.
Good evening, my dear friends. I joined Toastmasters in March 2018, and my journey in pathways began there. I selected the path innovative planning, and now I am almost at the end of the path doing level 5 projects. what I find most interesting in Pathways is I'm able to follow each project online with detailed descriptions and illustrations and all materials which could be helpful for drafting the speech as well as completing the project, such as worksheets and assessments, are readily available. For example, when I was doing the icebreaker, I found a speech outline worksheet in the project, which helped me to draft the speech with a clear opening, body, and conclusion. In the level 2 project, Understanding Your Leadership Style, there was a questionnaire about leadership. Upon completion, I was able to identify my preferred leadership styles, which are coaching and democratic. The ability to download the evaluation sheet and the entire project and to forward it to the evaluator well before the speech is another immense benefit in Pathways. Finally, I would like to share the progress I made with Pathways. When I joined Toastmasters, I was in doubt whether I am audible enough and whether I could speak in front of an audience. After completing level 3, I successfully faced club contests at both seasons, and I was able to secure places in humorous speech, evaluation, and table topics contests. I wish all of you all the very best in your journeys in Toastmasters through Pathways. Over to you, DTM Hingston.
Thank you, Toastmaster Dylan. And friends, if you're still looking for who is this Dylan, I'm sure he will be the first person to comment on any of our Toastmasters Facebook pages. If you have a post about Pathways completion, if you have a post about Pathways, he is the first person to go and comment. You can go and check. He has done that. He is really great. And he's a member of CNA Toastmasters Club. Next up, we are going in for one of the important segment, that is the question and answers. During the registration process, we have received so many questions from the members, and I will go through the questions to give answers. We have some great Toastmasters in the panel. Toastmaster Roshantha Jayatunge, DTM Sriyanti Salgado, our Program Quality Director. Also, we have Toastmaster Kasun Ilangaratna, the President of Virtusa Colombo Toastmasters Club, and also he has done this presentation in the previous edition. So let me go through these questions, and panelists, I request you to switch on your videos. At this time, I would like to post another link to you, and that is the feedback link. So please give your feedback. This is very important for us. So the first question that I have is to Toastmaster Roshantha. Roshantha, you already touched upon a little bit on this. What kind of suggestions can you include in to challenge yourself section in the evaluation sheet?
Okay. That's a really good question, actually. So in the new format, you will see that you're asked to comment on something that you appreciate, and then you're going to comment on something that you feel needs improvement, and then you're asked to say something where you're telling the speaker to challenge yourself, do this. Now, a lot of people find that a little difficult to answer in terms of to say give a proper direction to the speaker there. But remember, you're observing. So what you see, what you hear, and what you felt. Now, when you do that, you will come up with, I saw this, I need to improve, you need to improve this, right? So you can say, you give that as the suggestion, and then To challenge that person, you can say, all right, why not you try doing this to challenge yourself, to push yourself. Let the speaker look at something. So let me take an example to make it clear. So you say that you observe that the person has too many hand gestures. They are moving their hands about too much, and it's a bit distracting. So you say that I observe that your hands are moving about, and in your evaluation, what you say is you're telling them use purposeful gestures. If you don't have a gesture proper, keep your hands down. Now, when you say in the challenge yourself part, to challenge yourself, try to do a speech where you have 3 purposeful gestures. So you map your speech to come up with 3 gestures. Now here I'm using 3, a symbol like this. So it could be a simple thing. It could be when I was 5 years old and you show your height down here. So 3 purposeful gestures. And you give a specific frame for that person to work on. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you, Roshantha. And friends, if you have any questions, you can also use the Q&A feature in the Zoom. And the next question I would like to ask from Toastmaster Kasun. Kasun, there is this question where how to enter and get permission to do a speech in other clubs, how to enter the role plays done in a club. Is there any limitation for doing speech projects outside club?
So let me share my screen on that, and I'll give a more practical demonstration of how we can do that in Pathways. So we'll start here. So as everyone knows, so this is going to be your Pathways Basecamp. And first thing I will tackle is the question about doing projects outside of our club. So you can click over here on this Paths and Learning section. Click the 3 dots here, and you will have a section to add external training. So once you click on this add external training, you will get an option to give a description about the project that you're doing. For example, if you take a level 1 project such as the researching and feedback, you can mention here that it's going to be researching and feedback, right? You can give a description of the project and mention the club, the dates, pathway that you're doing, all that, and submit it. And once you do that, this will trigger a request to your vice president education in the club, who can view and accept or rather approve your request to do the speech project in another club. Once that is approved, you can go and do your speech project in another club. And you will also get another option on your paths and learning somewhere around this area, where it will say that you can mark complete that you have done the speech project in another club. Once you click that mark complete, again it triggers another notification to your vice president education, who can certify that you have completed the project in another club. So that is basically the process for doing a speech project outside your club. And the last part of it, which is whether there is a limit by TI. TI has not mentioned any limit as such for the Pathways program regarding doing speech projects outside of your own home club. TI has not mentioned anything like that. And finally, for adding your roles in Basecamp, to do that, you can click over here and go to My Account. And you will see here you have an option to enter the date for all of the roles you have done. So I would recommend to enter the most recent date for all of the roles and keep updating them as and when you do your roles at your Toastmaster meetings. I hope that answers all the questions, and back to you, TTM Hingston.
Thank you, Kasun. It indeedly answered the questions. The next is Toastmaster. I would like to invite DTM Sriyanti. The question is, what are the difference between innovative planning level 4 and level 5 mandatory project? So I check the projects. The projects are in level 4. We have a project called Manage Successful Projects, and the level 5 mandatory project is it's a HPL project, High Performance Leadership Project. Shriyanti?
Hinsta, I didn't, the question was not clear. I'm sorry.
Okay. So the question is, what are the difference between innovative planning level 4 and level 5 mandatory projects? Level 4 project is manage successful project. Level 5 project is high performance leadership.
High performance leadership needs a team. You'll have to actually go through these projects individually because both projects have individual criteria which you need to go through, and you need a team to work with you. Unlike even the high performance project which we did before, there are various teams to be organized and various projects, and even the evaluation form is really a bit longer than the normal evaluation form. So I would advise you, like if you're doing level 3, move into level 4, which we are allowed to do, and read through these projects in your spare time, because unless we read earlier, we are not able to complete the project in next to no time. So take your time to always read the next project earlier, because some of the projects need time planning to do this, and you need a couple of teams to do these 2 projects. Over to you, Hingston.
Thank you, Shriyanti. Thank you so much. Next is I would like to request Roshantha. Roshantha, how to select good audience grabbing topics for the speeches? Roshantha, you and me.
Yeah, sorry. There was another question on the Q&A, I think, about the level 1 to 4 projects. But if I can, I'll just share a screen quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. I really like Simon Sinek. The first thing that he talks about is to start with the why. And when he says start with the why, it's even applicable in our public speaking. When you go to do a speech, think of why you're doing that speech. Is it to inspire somebody? Is it to educate? Is it to entertain? Then look at the how, your strategies. And these strategies could be different. It could be starting with a story, a question, challenge and response, or problem statement and solution. Different strategies that you adopt to present your speech. And what are you going to do? You're doing a speech. All right. So if you look at that golden circle of Simon Sinek, it tells a lot on why are you doing this speech. So then how do you select topics? All right. That will be interesting. So there are things that you know. And it's always good to start with things that you know. Topics you know are the things that are close to you, that maybe you have personally experienced, you have learned from somewhere, somebody has told you. So these are topics you know. Out of all of those topics you know, there will be certain topics that you really are passionate about, that you love, that you really have gone and understood, and you really like the subject matter, you want to share that with somebody. So topics you know, topics you love. But then remember, there's always someone else in the room, your audience. And it's of no use if it's something that you know and you love, but it's not interesting to the audience. So think in the context of your demographics, the audience that is there, what are the things that the audience would care about? So when you select topics, try to go for topics that will fall into this Venn. It's a Venn diagram. And when you write down the things that you know, the things that you love or passionate about, and what your audience might care about, and when you sort of distill this, you will come up with the topics that fit in here. Select topics from this area. So although you might be interested in a particular thing, remember that the audience response is also important. The audience always has a question in their head: what's in it for me? Why is this important to me? And one of the first things I learned in Toastmasters is that the people in your audience will always say, so what? What's in it for me? And you always have to be able to answer that question. So when you look at topics, Don't just rely on things that you are good at and that you know. Think, are you really passionate about those? Then the best will come out. And then the final thing is, will it be interesting to the audience? So challenge yourself by asking yourself that question, whether that topic will be interesting to the audience. And definitely you will figure out which topics you should follow. All right, Kingston? Thank you.
Thank you, Roshantha. Next question I would like to ask from Kasun. How to confirm that I have finished each projects in pathways? Who is ticking the boxes?
Right.
Kasun, maybe you
Once
can
again,
share the screen and show them.
yeah, of course. So once again, let me start off here and I will select a sample project from my list of. So I'll go into my leadership development pathway from here. And now I've completed my level 1, but I still haven't started anything in level 2 at the moment. I have activated all of these, but I haven't really started on any of them. So I can click on the launch button and that will open up, for example, this managing time project. Let's give it a minute. We also open a project that I have completed in the past. So I'll take this evaluation and feedback one. And that will open up in another tab. Okay. So this is the project that I haven't started yet. This is the level 2 managing time project that I opened up first, right? And one of the first things that we need to do is that we need to navigate to this assess your skills before section and complete this questionnaire. So that there is a similar questionnaire that is available on all of the projects inside the Pathways program. And after you completed this questionnaire, you can go through all the remainder of the sections in your project. And after you do your speech, you need to return here to this project and you need to visit the assess your skills after section. So note that the assess your skills before, you need to do it before you are reading through any of these course materials, and the assess your skills after that you do only after completing all of the other sections inside the project. And you come to this assess your skills after section and you have the same questions as before and you are going to answer all of them. And finally, after you have answered all those questions, and you will have a submit button over here. Once you click on the submit, you will get a side-by-side comparison of how your answers looked before you did the project and after you did the project. So yeah, so you can see here now this is what my completed level 1 project looks like. So you can see the 3s turns to 4s, the 4s turn to 5s, right? Sometimes 3s turn to 5s. So your own self development, your own self confidence, you will be able to see for yourself that you have grown as a speaker by answering the before and after sections of these projects. And after you see this screen, you can close the project. You can close it over here and close. Let me close this also. And after you close the project, this particular page is going to reload. And if you have answered both the before and the after sections for a given project, you will see this little blue color tick over here. And that is going to indicate that you have completed the project. And once you have these 3 ticks over here, this level completion is going to be activated for you. And you can submit the request to your Vice President Education to approve that you have completed that particular level. In this case, the level 1. And back to you, DTM Hinkson. I hope that has answered the question.
Yes, Kasan, thank you. And the ideal answer to who is taking the box, I would say it's you. I mean, it's me who need to tick my box, saying that yes, I have completed this, I have completed that. In addition to that, your VP education also will have a track. There was a question about pathway completion and path towards DTM. I am just giving the answer in the chat, which is directly from the Pathways FAQ. Since we are running out of time, let me get one last question. That is from that is to Toastmaster Roshantha. Roshantha, what are the things can be done to get the best out of Pathways training?
All right. So let me put it this way. You need to have patience. You need to go through the learning in the Pathways module, and don't rush it, and don't just flick through the pages just to get to the objectives part or the purpose statement. Really go through it, because you will learn something there. Now, some things that I wasn't good at, like you know that I love impromptu speaking. I'm very much a table topic speaker. So I had a challenge of writing my speeches a lot. I try to internalize and keep everything in my head. But going through the Pathways program helped me do one thing really well, and that is to put down my thoughts. And I was able to, now I have a notebook, I write in that, and then after I write in that, I type it out on my laptop. And so I have a Word document done, which I can then edit and look at and follow through. And Pathways gave me that. It gives you a little discipline. So I'm doing visionary communication now. And in that, it says, come up with your vision, a communication plan. And you really have to go through the steps of writing a communication plan. And when you do that, you figure out where you need to focus, what you need to do, what are the particular steps that you have to follow, and in what sequence, and when it needs to be done. So my best suggestion to you to get the maximum out of Pathways is go through that learning process. Use all the online tools that are there. Download whatever documents you need, use it, write, fill it up, save those documents. Now, I'm a little embarrassed to tell you that I wanted to share my research project with you, but I couldn't find that, because that was level 1, and that was last year, March 2019. But now, when I go onto my Pathways Basecamp and I look at the documents that I've uploaded, in every level that I've done, level 2, 3, 4, and now level 5, I have uploaded all the PowerPoints that I've used, all the documents that I've used, all my evaluations that I've received, scanned and uploaded everything. So it's a very useful repository and a useful source of knowledge. Use the Pathways program properly, you will benefit from it. So my biggest advice I can give to any of the new Pathways people who have joined Pathways recently, or even to people who are in the middle of the program, please use all the resources that are at your fingertips there. Okay, that's the best advice I can give. Instant.
Thank you, Roshantha. That's the exact thing, because it's a self-paced program, and we need to ask always what is the lesson that we are going to get out of this Pathways training. We have one question which is for Donna, and I would like to ask Donna to come to Donna. What is the best resources, videos that we can use to practice voice variation? This is a question from Sudesh.
Right. So Sudesh, what I can tell you is, but I've been using my voice in terms of singing as also speaking for like more than a decade now. But I must tell you that this is not really anything which is codified or which I can give you. I wish I could give you one particular resource, but if you really search it online on YouTube, you have thousands and thousands of resources. So I think you can obviously select something that best fits you. But if you want to learn more about vocal variety and using your voice, I would suggest for you to refer to this resource. This document is available in the TMI website. So it's called as Your Speaking Voice. So most of the presentation, most parts that I did today is based on this particular manual. And apart from that, you can definitely search online I have done a lot of research on it, so I've found numerous articles based on it. I really wish I could share a particular resource, the best resource for you to refer to, but to be honest, in my opinion, there is nothing of that sort. You just have to, whenever you get a speech, I personally feel that most of the speakers are not paying close attention towards a voice, and it is the least rather that you pay attention to. You always focus on body language, you focus on the structure and the content, but you hardly pay as much attention on the voice, which is it is the main medium in which you communicate. And so once you draft your speech and when you're practicing, make sure that you have the variety in the pace, variety in the volume, then also the pitch and all those different values of vocal variety that we did today. And based on that, you can do your research on how you can make it better. So that's my suggestion to you. Definitely, one day, if you do enough research and practice, you can definitely be better at it gradually. Over to you, Hingston. I hope I answered his question.
Yes, Donna. Thank you, Donna. And to help you, friends, I have sent the link of this document which was just shared by Toastmaster Donna. That is your speaking voice, which is from Toastmasters International. There were some questions about, can I go and do level 5 before completing level 4? Can I do 2 parts simultaneously? So likewise, there were several questions. In my opinion, the best answer that I could give you is, it is about your progress. There is no one, obviously your VP Education, your president, the club will be monitoring your progress, but it is you who need to give justice to your progress. So go slowly but steadily. Don't go to, like, because this program has been structured in a way that it goes from level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. Now we just heard from Roshantha that he did his level 1 last year March, and now we are in November, which means, and he has just completed level 4. That itself says it is not about just finishing it off and ticking the boxes and going. It's about understanding what needs to be learned and understanding that we need to improve on a daily basis. So with that, we have come to the end, but I would like to request our program quality director, distinguished Toastmaster Sriyanti Salgado, to share a few words with us. Sriyanti, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Hingston. To all members who have enrolling pathways, help each other. There are still few more members to be enrolled. Please help them to enroll in pathways and go steadily. I was listening to all the presenters today, and it was not because we have chosen them, it was very clearly given to you all. Have a steady growth. Don't do a speech and then wait for months. Read up the next project. Go to the next level. After all, we are paying our membership. See that you progress very, very steadily. And if there's anything that you need to ask, reach out to the PQD team, any one of us, and we'll help you with whatever we can. Ask your friends also to join this program to better themselves a little bit more. Over to you, Hingston.
Thank you, Sriyanti. And what's next? So next month, that is on 4th of December, at the same time, we will meet you with another set of trainings, another set of questions about pathways. Until that, please go through these projects and start working on your speeches. If you have enrolled already, please start working on your icebreaker speech. Let's not wait till the VP Education or the president to come up to you and say, hey, can you start your speech? Can you start your icebreaker? You raise your hand and say, next meeting, I would like to do this speech. Next meeting, I would like to take up an evaluation. Next meeting, I would like to take up the role. It is by then you can improve yourself. So I would like to thank Toastmaster Mayuri, our Zoom master, Toastmaster Donna Balasurya, and Toastmaster Roshantha Jayatunge, trainers, Toastmaster Kasu Nilangaratna and DTM Sriyanti Salgado, who helped us during the question and answer segment. So with that, let me sign off, and it's yours, Hingston Lawal. Thank you so much once again for attending this workshop, and let's see you on 4th December 2020. Thank you, everyone.